No.
It's
Okay,
natural.
it's fine. This is so natural.
You just carry on talking.
I feel like I'm on a TV show or something if it's being recorded.
Yeah.
It will come back in my later life.
See, I don't understand those the reality TV shows when you see them and then like they're fighting with this other person, and then I know there's a camera crew over here. So how is this going on? So it's just very strange for me.
Because I think they probably pick people that
don't care about the camera crew.
Yeah, a bit of a generalization, but I think
Yeah, I mean, of
roughly
course.
accurate.
Yeah, either that or just I don't know if it's good or bad acting. So
apparently, like Geordie Shore and those kind of shows are fake.
I don't know what Geordie Shore is.
It's reality TV. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
No, they're just.
Yeah.
I just don't like reality TV.
Yeah.
One could say you're denying reality, and I would say no. I'd say no. It's just a case that they're portraying a specific thing.
Definitely. They've got an agenda. They want to show this, this, and this, and like focus on this.
It's like Big Brother.
I watched Big Brother the first time. Do you know I can't remember anything about it?
Apparently there was a character called Nasty Nick. Huh? Apparently there was a character called Nasty Nick.
I was going to say, was it the first one or the second one?
I don't know. I just know there was Nasty Nick.
Or maybe I watched the second one. But I can't believe it's still going, wasn't it? It was
There's another Big Brother now.
Idea.
I think there's Celebrity Big Brother at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, I watched when I was feeling a bit unwell. I watched what's it called? Celebrity Jungle Thingamajig for the first time the other day. What?
Is I'm a Celebrity?
Yeah, give me yeah. It's the, don't worry, it's not people trying to get in. Or
no,
it's the heating.
I will readjust my.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen the what? Something Housewives of Atlanta.
The Real Housewives.
The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh my gosh, that
all the words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Real.
Yeah, the Real. I remember that. I've seen like a couple of episodes of that, and yeah, it's a lot of drama.
I saw one that's meant to be about. Hang on, is
Sorry,
it
it's okay that put my feet up.
Of course,
Sure,
yeah, please do. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think, these sofas I got donated and they were, but unfortunately, because I'm moving back to my parents, I thought that I should probably give them away because if I put them in our garage, I'm worried about them, like, just...
You're giving sofas away.
Yeah.
Somebody did.
Well, I could do it, sofas.
That's the thing, and I just thought, oh shit, I could have given it. I didn't think about it. I mentioned it to the girl who gave them to me. She was like, "Oh, Alex is looking for a sofa. She lives just down the road." I was like, "Perfect." So I kind of told her. Yeah.
I still have floor space.
Yeah.
I value the space.
Yeah. Floor is good. That means you can like practice your capoeira and stuff.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That would be amazing. Like in my room, like there's this small area that big, and I practice it there, but like I end up hitting tables and. Yeah. So.
You're welcome to come over and try this.
Yeah.
I welcome the company.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're nice sofas. I like them. This one's really nice. It's like I've slept on it before, and like most sofas. Like your knees really hurt in the morning, but that one is just so comfy.
How many sofas have you slept on?
Well, you know, when you stay over at people's places.
Yeah.
And well, it's just that always either you have to like curl up so much that it was like, ow, I can't do this, or you put your feet over the end and then your knees lock. If you That's horrible, but this one's long enough. So
that's good.
Yeah, so talked about the sofas now.
So yeah, you were talking about Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And my girlfriend is really active on Twitter, and I talked to her about it, which is why I added her to the group because she said that hashtags.
Yeah. I don't understand.
I can see the value of hashtags now. Before I couldn't stand it, but that's because of how it was introduced, of people going hashtag so and so.
Yeah.
But if you're posting something and you're trying to get an opinion on it or awareness of it, a hashtag is great for that.
Exactly.
Which is really annoying because I don't want to use it on Facebook, but there are times when I think a hashtag could be quite useful.
Exactly. Yeah. Right now it's like there's a whole culture into but before she said that hashtags are really useful for marketing. So if you want to market, like, I don't know, some new advertisement that Pepsi made. You just hashtag Pepsi, and then if you go on the hashtag Pepsi, you can see all the things that are going on about that, and that's really useful in those times.
Was it Justine Heather that you know the name
AIDS
of
Africa? Yeah. Oh my
and
God.
then someone's did you hear about, what was she?
Right, so she was going to Africa, and she tweeted that I'm going to Africa, excited. I hope I don't get AIDS.
Oh.
And then she's like, haha, just kidding, I'm white.
Oh, I did. I think I saw that
The way
somewhere.
you delivered it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could see the humour she meant.
Oh, don't worry, I'm white.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody was like, what? She got fired.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this spread on Twitter because she
Yeah.
posted it on Twitter,
Yeah.
and her flight was however 9
Like
hours
11
or something.
hours.
Shit, by
Yeah.
the time she landed, she had,
And no, by the time she was midway through the flight,
yeah.
someone had already like I think a couple of hours into it, someone had already started a hashtag,
Yeah.
which was has Justine. I think her name was Justine.
It has my plane landed.
Has she landed? Yeah, has Justine landed yet? And that was a hashtag.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that went around the whole world. That's like, if you look at the statistics of it,
Yeah.
It's
it's
crazy.
really incredible. And
Yeah.
within the like 9 or 11, 10, however flight,
Yeah.
she had become famous across the world.
For being really racist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
had her Twitter account. I think she closed it upon landing. She had lost her job before she had landed.
Jeez.
By the time she had landed, all of this had happened because of Twitter.
Yeah.
Um,
But maybe it was, she wasn't. Maybe
It's
she
too much.
wasn't-
It was like an
oh,
overreaction. Yeah.
but it,
She just didn't think.
yeah, that's the
Maybe
thing.
I can imagine that she just didn't know much about AIDS. If she was just like, I don't know. Maybe
But I
she
think
thought that it
because
was
she's a
specific.
PR, like her role was PR,
Okay.
so it's kind of
That's
she kind of should have.
yeah,
well,
before she
well, there's an
printed them.
expectation, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was on an airline that doesn't allow, or at least didn't at the time allow, Wi-Fi connections during flight,
So she can delete it.
and
Oh.
she was completely oblivious to what was
Yeah.
going on around the whole world in response to her tweet.
Mm.
So when she landed,
Yeah.
all of this was quite overwhelming. So she shut down all her social media profiles, etc.
Yeah.
But it's really bad because one of the kind of amusing. One of the airlines,
Yeah.
not the one she went with, also hashtag that has Justine landed yet, and said,
Yeah.
next time you should use an airline that does have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But then they apologised for it, I think, and said, we apologise because that was inappropriate. Because they were kind of effectively riding on
using
someone else's
Yeah.
Misery.
Yeah.
misfortune.
But so is all advertising. It's like, are you fat? Well, get thin with this.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be
Does
happy.
that justify advertising though?
No,
But, yeah, exactly.
but I mean,
It's like,
it's
are
surprising
you-
that they had to apologise, because then surely everybody should apologise. Oh, sorry, we
Exactly.
advertised that really
Yeah.
unhealthy thing.
Maybe
to
they
you.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that'll be the day
Maybe
when
she'll
we
get
have
her job
trials.
back.
Yeah.
Just
Twitter
have
trials. You do
consumerism
have Twitter
advertising.
trials now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was the two like on BBC News that one of the top 10 headlines just I think a few hours before I left was pair jailed over Twitter abuse, and it was those two who were giving the feminism campaign a grief on Twitter and like proper abuse.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. They were, I think it was. I don't actually know if it was two guys or two females, or.
But you know, it's weird. I mean, unless they did something illegal. I mean,
Well, so we were discussing this at college today, on
Yeah.
placement during tutorial time, that the Equality Act,
yeah.
and there are protected characteristics. So we were talking about freedom of speech, and you're allowed to hold views, even if they might not be favourable or like by social convention not approved of. You are allowed to have any view you wish, as long as you don't discriminate or act upon it. So you can have a view that might be discriminatory, but as long as you don't act on it. But the general thing is that you're
How do
not.
you not?
No. Like the example was if someone thinks
Become a
that
fascist.
homosexuality is
Okay, or
or like gay marriage isn't
Yeah.
approved or it doesn't count, someone can have that view, but if they actively seek to enforce it,
Okay.
that is not allowed. Because there are protected characteristics.
That's a bit strange, really, because I mean, you're allowing. But why would somebody? Okay.
So they're allowed to have the view because everyone's able to have a view.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
it's a case of if you express your views, say, unpromptedly, like if you went around saying, no marriage for gays, no marriage for gays, and
Just
you
the,
actually went,
hi, how
that
are
is
you? No marriage for
inciting.
gays.
Well, that's inciting discrimination and hatred.
Yeah.
But if someone asks you, what's your opinion, and that person says, I don't agree with it, that's completely legal because they've been asked it. But if they outright just went, kind of like, no, this is, I disagree with this shouldn't happen, that's one thing.
But if somebody actually has a really good idea and sees something wrong with, I don't know, some kind of
General
legal
social
system or
problem.
social system or whatever, then what they're supposed to wait. I mean, if it's like seen by general people as being accepted and their view is actually a bit weird, but if in a few years' time we realise that they were right, we're supposed to wait to ask them that specific question.
I think they just start protesting.
Yeah, but are you?
But
then that
that's the
is
thing,
that
because of you could get mob
Yeah.
mentality. Automatically, it's strange and it's unapproved of. That
But-
people could jump on it. So no, that's the thing. It's kind of a case of you just raise awareness of it, hopefully in a peaceful and legitimate way. I don't mean legitimate by some. Obviously, I'm not encouraging breaking the law, but I just mean, it's possible to raise awareness about things in a non-aggressive, peaceful manner, and yeah, it could. It might upset people. I'm not saying that's okay. It could make people uncomfortable because you could present someone with a view that they strongly disagree with. But that's the thing with this, and this is what I was saying in class, that someone can have a view that may seem very strange or may even, upset or offend others. And the aim isn't to do that, of course. But ideally, if that were to be the case, then both sides could rationally discuss it and resolve it. Because if you have a conflict of opinion, you can't have both being. If you have two opposing views, I very much doubt both can be correct and hold true. Because then you've got a contradiction.
It depends on how general they are.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So, it kind of depends. So, if someone, like what was being discussed in class was gay marriage. So, if one person was saying it shouldn't happen, and the other person saying it should, then they, ideally, both can rationally and fairly have a discussion that should be able to resolve this issue one way or another, and they should come to a common understanding. So, that's why I think it's to keep your opinions to yourself. I think almost breeds ignorance.
Yeah.
Because by not asking, how do you find out? And by not having your views challenged, how do you know if you're right or not?
Yeah.
Well, someone can point out flaws in your arguments.
Yeah.
But if you just keep it to yourself, you can go through your whole life thinking, yeah, I think gays shouldn't have marriage, or gay people there shouldn't be gay marriage, and not have that view challenged your whole life. And because you've never mentioned it, no one else sees it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of people could have that view, and then all of a sudden, it can just escalate and blow up to the point where then everyone speaks out against it, and nothing was in place. There was no one
to talk
no
about
understanding about it. Yeah, because no one's talked about it. So people have just been entrenched in their opinions, carried on with this, and it's grown and escalated so much that they may have lost complete perspective on the issue. That when you try to resolve it, it's already gone too far down.
I think that's true. And especially if you keep something just in your head going round and round, then and you don't say it to anybody because you're afraid of that it makes you silly or that.
Or if you're just lazy of just wanting to get into it. Yeah.
But it's probably not healthy because you just kind of feel a little bit sort of annoyed with the world, and it's not a healthy emotion. If you kind of just talk about it, then you can kind of see, that's why gays can get married. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can find it's probably good for your health as well. What's that?
No, it's just every time I hear that boiler click, I just think it's the door. So I go to look to say, see if there's someone there. Sorry.
Yeah, there are, talking about gay marriage, there are, I think, well, my country and a couple of North African and East African countries who still have the death penalty for being gay,
Really?
regardless of marriage. Yeah.
Jeez,
There was that guy, I can't remember which country, it was in Africa, and like the article was kind of, you know, upworthy style and sensationalist titles. And I'm not saying this against it. It was just I don't like sensationalist titles,
Yeah.
but it was he was sentenced to death for saying I love you. Although effectively that is what happened. Apparently he had sent a message to say that I love you. The only thing is it was to a guy, from a guy to a guy, and
that's really
he's
sad.
facing the death penalty for it.
Jeez. But you
I
can,
have the tab open somewhere.
I mean, everybody can love each other like without actually,
without being
like,
gay.
wanting to have sex with them. But anyway, that's weird.
Yeah, but I think in these cases, you know, when they ask them, they're like, "Yeah, of course I'm gay. You know, I'm not gonna deny that
Yeah, for
to
sure.
live." Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's
There's-
such a meager thing?
Yeah.
There's a guy in I only saw this today, and Azerbaijan. He was apparently quite like a spokesperson for I don't know if it was LGBT, but it was it said at least gay. Oh, it was a spokesperson for gay rights, and I think he was 20 years old or somewhere at least early 20s, and that said, and he had killed himself. But he wrote like there was a suicide note, and it said, you know, tell my mother I love her very much. I blame you all for my death. And because in Azerbaijan it's still illegal
To be gay.
to be gay as far as okay, I don't know if that's for sure, but it's at least very frowned upon and you know like a social taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, like this world isn't colourful enough for me. And that was it. But apparently he was quite a prominent spokesperson for. Sorry, it just seemed on topic. I only saw that.
Yeah, go on.
So yeah, I just thought it's another incident of it's out there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
whether or not it's justified or like as in homosexuality or LGBT, all of that. But the fact that it's still intolerance of it.
yeah, it's I mean it's acceptance is spreading, but it's slow. It's like yeah, it takes time to get from place to place.
Yeah.
So, I mean it took a lot of time to get into here properly. You know, you just had gay marriage this year or last year or something?
Yeah, I'm confused. I thought, I don't know.
Well, it's currently
I guess
being
so.
discussed.
Still
So
being
civil
discussed,
partnerships, and I think now, as far as I'm aware, it's currently being discussed, but it's what to call it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I think it's
The
the
church
whole God
wants
technically
to-
marriage
Yeah.
is a
in the eyes of God.
well in this country and because it's
Yeah.
still kind of a Christian country, marriage is still defined by the church, so it's a sacrilegious thing.
Yeah.
And on that sense, I can understand if marriage is defined as a man and a woman in a sacrilegious pact, in a sacred pact. If that is the definition of marriage, then by definition, homosexual couples can't get married.
Yeah.
So I can understand if that's the argument being made.
Yeah.
But it depends on what you're defining as marriage. So if it's marriage in terms of the church or whatever your doctrine of faith has as the definition of marriage, then I'd say it's very well up to debate and discussion.
Yeah.
If it's a case of social conventions of, to be honest, nowadays I think marriage by and large in our society is more of a legal binding
It is
contract
more of a
than
legal
an actual act of I like so and so so much that I want to spend the rest of my life with them. It's more of a let's sign the paperwork kind of thing. And if that's the case, then well, that's for people to do as they please in a way, in my opinion.
I don't know if it's. I mean, most of the people that I've heard of getting married, like they do it because they just want to show like how much they. I mean, I don't think they're like, geez, maybe we should, I don't know, get married just in case you what are the benefits of getting married? Like if they die, then you get some money from the
Yeah,
state or
It's the
something.
legal stuff
don't-
now,
yeah.
which is
But I don't think that goes through many young people's minds, really.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. Like,
I'd say marriage has lost its. In my
Flair.
opinion, marriage has lost its value and meaning
mm,
in terms of what I would say marriage used to mean.
yeah, but now there's got the legal stuff. It's
But
kind
now
of
it's it's kind of shifted from.
mm,
It's like I think
yeah.
I didn't mention this on Knowledge Cafe, on the group. I think on a different thread somewhere else. But the ages of consent or just ages of becoming an adult.
Mm.
So like at 18, you don't suddenly get endowed with adult powers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of maturity and responsibility. And I would say it was probably, I have no idea, but my guess would be, if there's reason behind it, it would be, okay, around what age do most of the population seem to be responsible enough that you can hand them decisions and they're responsible and accountable for their own actions? And it was probably, I doubt it was very much everyone at the same age, but a spread. But in terms of legislation, you can't say, well, let's say 13 to 21, depending on
The
all these
person.
various factors. Kind of almost like exams. Like,
Yeah.
well, we could test on all the various factors, but that's logistically very difficult. So let's make a certain age. Okay, let's pick an average. Maybe this is what happened. I don't know. Okay, in this country, that turns out to be 18 for various things, and I think if that was the reasoning behind it, it's gone far from people being mature around that spread of ages to define 18 as a reasonable age to expect people to be mature, to now it's seen as the other way around, that do what you want and then when you're 18 you should become an adult, which I think is a lot of.
But I think the reason for that, I mean, the social sort of maturity aside, I think the reason for that is that the social maturity, it can only be there on average for a person who's lived 18 and has a brain that's developed that much, like biologically. So you're not constantly like running around your hormones, and
At
you're
18, I don't know.
Technically,
I mean, more or less than like 16, less than like 16 or 17.
it's kind
or
of with the
15.
onset of puberty, though.
Right.
I don't know. That's the thing, isn't it? Or development of these things, and
Yeah.
so you go through puberty, and
Yeah, and then
yeah.
that's
So, but on the typical, again, I'm not saying this is always the case, but like in a general sense, it's by about 15.
you think
Well,
it's 15?
well, apparently, so for girls, it's earlier. Oh, well, as in
I've
girls
always
mature
been
earlier than males.
I was responsible right from age 2. I was.
What about the first 2 years?
yeah.
That's not good enough.
Yeah, but like, okay.
I couldn't do stuff.
But because that's the thing, like, I think it's almost a very arbitrary thing now.
Yeah.
Okay, 18, yeah, you're suddenly an adult, and let's celebrate that by being really irresponsible, going out, or in my opinion, being very irresponsible, and to celebrate my last day of youth, I'm gonna max out my irresponsibility and get completely smashed, etc. That's just one example. Of course, I'm not saying it's all like that. But then, the reason why this came up is because someone posted a comic that said, "Oh, hooray! I'm 18. I'm an adult now. What do I do?" And then the other person, who presumably is an adult, just goes, "Just carry on as you did normally, and get a job." I was like, "Oh, it doesn't feel that different." I'm like, "You okay?"
Yeah, I'm just wondering if anybody wants tea. I'm just going to have the next 17.
No, okay. Yeah.
And said, "Yeah, that's what it's like." And he goes, "Everything's the same." And it's like, "Yeah." And then they just look really sort of nonplussed. And that's what I'm saying. Like, nothing changed. You don't magically change from.
Yeah, but do you think anybody feels that way? Feels like something should change?
I think a lot of people have this expectation, if that's how they've grown up, to think that. I can imagine a lot of people saying, "I didn't, because I wasn't brought up like that. I was kind of brought up that you need to be responsible and mature, and you need to." It wasn't a case of. It was almost in the
It
case
was
of
like
that.
common sense.
Yeah, it was pretty much like you're accountable for your own actions. And the thing is, as a kid, when I made mistakes, I was still told that you're responsible
Yeah.
for it. But of course, it wasn't a case of, what are you doing? Kind of, this is all your fault. Because that's my sort of learning. Like, always learning. But that's kind of the like early initial stages of learning. And then from, it's a, again, it wasn't a clear black and white cut-off point where, okay, now it's all on you. But from when I was about, I think I had the expectation of myself that from when I'm 7, I'm accountable for my actions. And I still got it wrong. I still get it wrong.
But you remember thinking to yourself when you were about 5, oh, when I get to 7, I'll be a cat. Really?
Yeah, no, because how I was brought
Really?
up.
Jeez. Oh, okay. Well, I guess maybe if you kind of discuss that kind of stuff. I never discussed that with my parents.
Well, it's just kind of part of my
But
upbringing.
did you like feel like if you get to 18 you're grown up?
I guess a little bit, but only because, like, you always see when you go into the card shops, like 18. I don't know.
Yeah.
You
There's
get
always
to-
a card
there's
for 18.
Yeah, here's the
18
keys
and
to your
21.
exactly. Now you've got the keys to your car or whatever, and so I was kind of excited that like, oh, you know, there's different stuff now, different elements that I can have to my life. But
What about you?
Like, did that last more than a month? I mean,
no,
Yeah.
it was pretty much on the day. I was just like, no.
And
Do
then
you know?
the
I
next
actually can't remember my 18th birthday or what did I do.
one. So plastered.
I was on the floor for days.
Like, it's all blur.
Yeah.
Remember a 1 and an 8. There may have been candles. I'm
And
kidding.
no, I know.
What
For
about you?
me, it was, well, I spent like the majority of,
Do you have conscription?
for me, from being
Right, you're
when I
18,
was-
off to the army.
From when actually I was a bit worried about that. So from when I was like 15 to like when I was 19, I was studying almost all the time. So
No.
well, so I didn't like really feel like an improvement or a like a deprovement. It was like, you know, I'm older now, which means like, you know, I'm older.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's in my
Yeah.
opinion. It's like kind of what you were saying, I think, about so when you go into card shops and things, you see this. It's more of a social
Yeah.
pressure / expectation, because I imagine in other countries where the age might be different, so 16.
Yeah.
So, you know, do they have the equivalent for
Yeah.
whatever age is in that culture or society? And so people might. I've never encountered this, but I could very well imagine. So if there was some country where, let's say, I don't know, 15 is the age that you're kind of officially a grown up, and then they say they came here and then saw people making a fuss about it when they're 18. I wouldn't be surprised if those people thought, 18, that's so far behind. Whereas, of course, it could be the complete opposite, coming from here to some country that did do that.
It's like, why do I have to wait that
It's like
long?
15, no, they're too young, they need to be liberated, or their childhood has been deprived. Which,
America.
well, yeah, I'm not saying that's what everyone would think, but I can very well imagine that, like, people thinking, oh, 15, that's too young. I'm not saying there is a country, but I imagine there probably is.
Yeah.
15, that's too young, they're being deprived of their childhood. But you could say, what if childhood, the expectations on childhood and how childhood supposedly should be, is a cultural product, i.e., like a lot of people say, here it's like, oh, you're young, that time. Like, well, personally, this bothers me, but generally, when people go to uni, a lot of people are of the opinion that, oh, but you know, uni is where you get to make mistakes in the real world, but it's still not that bad, and you can learn from it.
Yeah.
Whereas I find that really strange. I think by uni you should definitely be your own person, and you know, I'm not saying it's a condition on going to uni, but when people for me, I think it's a case that, well, you are making quite big decisions, or relatively, I'd say, big decisions whilst at uni, that surely you should be accountable for them and responsible of your own actions, because it's ultimately your own life that's going to be affected.
Yeah, I think that sense of like accountability should always be there, because whenever, like, you make the, like, even when you're, like, 15, if you choose to, for example, I don't know, not study or choose to, like, spend all your time doing something, you're gonna get really good at that something. And so that's gonna be something that's not gonna go away. You know, you're not gonna be like, I'm just gonna spend, like, all my time going to this sport, like taekwondo, that I'm doing, and then I'll study, the taekwondo goes. So why would you do that, So why would you want to, like, spend all the time doing something and then doing something else, assuming that, you can do this because you're young? Because that doesn't make sense, because whatever you do is going to stay with you. So...
I can kind of understand
Yeah.
that mindset. I'm not saying I could justify it. I need to think about it more, but I could at the very least understand someone doing that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't encourage it.
Yeah, you can understand it, but I'm saying, like, for example, if I want to become a good, for example, mathematician or a good anthropologist, and I spend most of my, youth doing something that is unrelated to math or anthropology, then I am going to be less skilled in that thing. So, I'm not saying that you should only have one goal. I'm saying you can want to be a good, 18-year-old taekwondoist, taekwondo practitioner. Yeah. And then you might want to become an anthropologist after that from wherever you start, and that's really a better option than just spending all your time doing something. But the mindset of saying that, now I'm young, I should do this, and then I get older, I'll do something else because...
Yeah,
it doesn't
that
count.
just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, because it doesn't count, doesn't make sense.
It feels like I'll deliberately do something which I think is probably wrong.
Yeah.
Because I can wipe it clean, but...
Yeah, I think the other thing is that how strongly the borders that are drawn on each, age group are. So, for example, here you said that, you go to shops and stuff and they all have this 18 thing for driving as well, for drinking, smoking, all these things they have the
16. So that's the thing, different things. So 16 is voting 16.
Yeah, I don't know.
You are so bad.
I was on the floor. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, but
so you have once you turn 18, for example, you have all these other things that you can do. But for example, in Iran, once you turn 18, for a guy who's healthy and is not a single child and whatnot, and
really is it?
Yeah, there are rules. Like if you're disabled, you don't go.
But if you're a single child.
If you're a single child, you don't go. As well.
That's kind of in a.
That's really weird.
In a way, that's kind of considerate because of something. I presume you're talking about conscription.
Yeah.
What?
You're talking about going into the army.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I presume if you're a single child. No, because I guess
it doesn't make any sense because both brothers will go to war. Poof, poof, they can both be shot. Oh, the mum's got nothing.
Is it if you're a single child or if you're the single remaining child?
A single, both.
Yeah.
Oh, both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've got siblings who have gone off and you're the only one left, you're not allowed to go. Oh, as in it's not compulsory.
Yeah.
Do they make...
But as in that's... So you can say that's kind of considerate.
I know,
in the sense that...
But do they make sure that two brothers can't be in service at the same time?
I know, because it's voluntary. So you're saying it's compulsory up until these conditions are met. Yeah, so everyone has to do it, but if you're the last remaining child, then it's not compulsory upon you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of...
To me, they're kind of considerate, but it's like...
I kind of disagree with conscription, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, but as in, if we're accepting that in this context, the fact that they still make the consideration and accommodation for kind of morbid, but I guess realistic, of your child could die. So
it's not. I don't think it's because of that though. Because at wartime, a lot of these restrictions are lifted. But if it's not war and if you're a single child, you don't go. I don't know why, to be honest. I know that if you
look after your mum.
Well, I know that if your dad is above 60 and your brothers are above 30 or something, means they have their own lives. I mean, supposed to have their own lives. Then you are supposed to. You can ask them to be like I got a dad. Yeah. But anyway, I was gonna say that once I turn 18, what happens is I don't. I was driving before that. Everybody drives before that because they've got access to cars. And you just drive. Like, you know, I mean, yeah, you can't have a license, and if you get caught, then you can get into trouble. But you know, you don't do anything stupid, and then like stupid as in get a ticket. So
Don't get caught.
yeah, just don't get caught, and you'll be fine. Even if you get caught, you can say, "I'm sorry, I've left this there or that," or you can get a warning even. But it's that we don't have any drinking going on. I mean, legally, so. People drink before then. If anybody drinks whenever, and
What do you mean? There's no drinking for
legally.
As in
Alcohol.
Iran.
No, there's no
Well,
alcohol. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I don't
Alcohol
know
is
which
illegal.
countries are. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Alcohol
Yeah.
is illegal,
Yeah.
and there are no clubs or anything that you can't gain access to. So I mean, there are no clubs, so there's nothing that you're restricted from doing.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from maybe a ride at some amusement park that you can't go because I don't know, you're not
Not tall enough.
tall enough or something like that. Then
Thought park a liberating experience for you.
no, to be honest, all of them are
That's
like
Western
110.
liberation.
Yeah. So exactly. So it
Thought park
wasn't like
epitomizes the West for you.
it wasn't anything big. The only big thing that happens when you're 18 is that you have this massive exam that you have to do, and that's the only thing.
For the record, by the way, I don't actually like saying the West, and I don't like using that
No.
because I think it's very divisive and very generalized. Just for the record.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it does help.
The record stated that.
I think it can throw
There are
things in a
similarities.
general
Yeah.
thing, but I think it's so generalized and so there are so many connotations and misconceptions thrown into West and non-West
Yeah.
that it's, I think, in my experience, used very loosely and incorrectly to describe things, and more of a, oh, this is a view I agree with, and I'm from the West, so I'm going to say it's
I'm
West,
from
and
the West.
this is a view I disagree with, and I'm from the not West, so, oh, that I disagree with that, that's a Western philosophy thing, and it's kind of more used now as a just us and them, rather than this is something attributed to, I say in quotations, Western ideologies or philosophies, or vice versa. Yeah. So just because I said,
No, that's fine. No.
but, what's the exam?
What?
The exam that you take at 18?
Oh yeah, so it's like this exam that's got 245 questions in it.
Is it
Yeah,
multiple
yeah,
choice?
it's multiple choice.
Is it
and
like a
it's,
day after your birthday?
What? No,
Is it
no,
like
no.
a test,
It is
like,
your birthday.
Did you celebrate really badly? Did you manage to get some drugs? Well, we're
It's
going to
like,
find
well, the
out.
whole thing is to see if you're drunk or not.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just-
Just a test.
It's just a
Oh,
spatial
God.
awareness test.
No, it's just like on that year of schooling,
Yeah.
when people are gonna leave high school
Okay,
and
yeah.
finish everything and enter university, they take this entrance exam,
Yeah. Okay.
and it's like standardized for the whole country. And based on how well you do on that exam, then you can choose what. Oh no! Before you go on the exam, you have to choose which university you want to go to, which is crazy because if you don't do well enough, then you can't get in.
Just so they like.
Yeah,
crush
just-
you,
Well, I think
like
it's
you
a way of
leave.
controlling numbers.
I think so. I don't know. I think it's like to give them some sort of like heads up or something. But it's crazy because you can't re-choose afterwards, and places may be filled up.
Can I reapply the next year, or is it just
Yeah,
one?
you can.
That's
You can.
horrible.
But you have to take the exam.
Yeah.
Really? So you're not allowed like a second choice? So you've literally got to decide.
Well, there
What
is
do I
Oh
think
no,
I'm
you can
fit
choose
for?
like 10 or 20
Okay.
choices of universities, but like
Okay.
usually, not usually, actually, there are like 3 universities that are good as in they're public universities, and they're funded by government and they're free. And they've got the most resources and the best professors and everything. And then other than that, we've
That's
got like,
interesting that in a country where it's the government funding it, those are the best ones.
yeah.
Whereas here, it's the private ones, which are generally the well-resourced ones.
Yeah. So then the other ones, the private universities, they're bad basically, and they're all over the country. There are a lot of them, but they're really bad. They're like you don't get proper schooling there.
Funded to get your family in with a degree, and that's
Yeah. Basically, you get a
Or
degree
pay you to give a
Yeah.
certificate.
to get a proof stamp to give you a job. So yeah, you got to go here, and there are 300,000 people who participate each year, and out of that, the top like 2,000 are entered into these 3 universities, and the rest are going to those other ones. So it's really stressful to be, to get on that area, and it's like the topics that are examined are, you have three different types. You have the medical, the biological sciences, who are usually for medics or biologists or stuff like that, and you have the humanities, and then you have the natural sciences, which the mathematics and the physics and
the STEM
engineering.
subjects.
Yeah, exactly. So you can. There are three types that you can.
Is
take.
chemistry with that or with
Chemistry is
or...
they all have all of them basically, but the weight is different for each.
Wait, are they three different tests?
There are three different tests, three different sets of questions, but they all cover
Oh,
the
right, okay, sorry.
similar
I think it
subjects.
was split into three sections.
Yeah. But for example, about maybe 50% of my test counted on mathematics, and then 10% counted on physics, maybe 5% on chemistry, and that goes to 65, and the rest of it counted on Persian literature, religious studies, and Arabic language and English
kind of
language.
citizenship requirement stuff.
Yeah,
it wasn't by the government.
Yeah, and so if you aced the bits that you are supposed to ace, like mathematics and the bits that are relevant, then you will still not get into the places that you want to get to, because people will have done the other bits well. So that is the most.
Do they mark it across each bit, or is it just your overall score?
Overall score.
Okay.
Yeah, so they mark it over each bit, but that doesn't really matter.
But so say you got 100% on all the subject knowledge stuff. So say you got 65%. Is it a case of you need 70%? So you can get the 65% in your subject knowledge and then 5% in citizenship stuff.
Okay.
And that's enough? Or is it a case of you need kind of passes in all sections?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. What matters is how everybody else did.
Oh, a relative kind of
It's when so that's
okay, so it's the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like you said, it was a top track.
So that's really stressful for everybody that I knew. It was really stressful. Like, I had a friend who was really good at physics and math and everything, but he he got really stressed and he did really badly and he got like 20,000, which is bad.
20,000.
20,000. He got that was his rank.
Yeah.
So.
Oh right. Okay.
So you literally get
you get a rank.
You get a number.
Yeah.
You are well done. Congratulations. You are number one.
Congratulations.
I got a number one in a round.
Yeah, exactly.
There will be a number one then.
Yeah, there is a number one.
Maybe
they get their faces printed in the paper and stuff. Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe
but they all look so scary. They're all like,
you're racist.
Like
sweating.
Yeah, I've just come out of the basement.
Yeah.
My books are all covered in sweat, blood, and tears.
Exactly. So it's like, but I had a friend who got I think 9 or something.
Really?
9. Yeah. And to be honest, the top.
You knew someone famous.
Yeah, the top 100 are pretty similar to each other because it's just one question.
Yeah.
And then depending on which section you made that mistake, then it is either 5 people or 10 people or 100 people. So. Yeah.
That's a strange idea. I kind of instantly thought for some reason that there may be some.
The knot.
Sorry. Do you want me to get rid of the knot?
It's no.
It's why would you let there be a knot?
You are so lucky to have such a long charger. Seriously, I've got a knot, but my charger doesn't go from here to there.
I thought that was a standard length. Those are the ones I see that length.
No, I bought it in Iran. They cut it short. I'm serious.
We're not friends with you, Iran. Yeah. We're gonna piss you off as many ways as we can until you get into our political ideals. Yes. I'm gonna crush you bit by bit.
That is something I've been discussing with people. I think last week I was discussing it. So Ahmadinejad, when he was the former
ex-president.
I'm really sorry, I don't
know. Tony Ali's greatest hero and role model.
I have his poster in red and black across my wall.
It's like Che Ahmadinejad.
Yes.
No, but he was a former Iranian president and very controversial and very notorious. So things about we will wipe Israel off the map. And
he actually never said that though.
No, that's the thing. He's always affiliated with it, but he was still very much disliked by, I say again in quote, the West.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But there were to the point of it wasn't a case of what he says, but a lot of things against him were just ad hominem, kind of.
What's that?
Just arguments against him,
Just
rather
in general,
than whatever he
policies,
believes or stands for.
Yeah,
It's
what
just
is he wearing today?
Yeah,
the ties.
quite literally.
This is the thing that
Yeah.
he doesn't wear a tie
Because he thinks it's a Western
because
concoction.
he says
Yeah,
it's a
well, it's
Western thing.
pointless, isn't it? It
But
doesn't
this is the
connect
thing,
one.
and everyone just well, not everyone, but most people just dismiss the arguments like, "What an idiot!" or like,
Yeah.
"Well, what a foolish thing that it's just a tie." But the thing is,
Yeah,
I started
good point.
thinking about it. I was
Yeah,
like,
it is just a
what
tie.
is the purpose of a
Yeah.
tie? As in,
It's
don't
the
get me
weirdest
wrong,
thing.
they can look
Yeah.
really. They're accessories that can look
Yeah.
really cool, but
Yeah.
if anything, it's a hindrance.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
a tie doesn't keep your shirt up on your neck because if it did, it'd probably
No.
restrict your breathing.
Helps
It's-
the assassin.
Well, yeah, that's the
Exactly.
thing. A tie
Well,
can
you
just
know.
Because
The,
You can get-
the would-be assassin to kill you, you have a tie, you have a collar.
you peanut them. You just pull the tie around.
oh, I see.
Or you can, you stick it in
Like
that.
bullies in the playground.
Yeah.
We've assassinated.
Oh my god.
You can get that tie stuck in a conveyor belt.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. That's what you do all the time. That's like the main thing.
But no, but the thing is, it's like,
We're really gonna have to discuss ties as spokesperson of anti-ties.
Yeah,
this is the thing. Like, what was the purpose of a tie?
It is.
And I guess
I don't know where it came
historically, it could have come from a cravat. I imagine that's what it was.
What was it?
What's the
called?
French for
Something
tie
bigger.
is cravat?
Really?
Yeah.
Is it tinier
What did they
or
use?
something?
Yeah, it's
Is it like
is
a,
this the thing
No,
with-
because we call ties caravat. We don't call it a tie.
yeah, I guess you've got it from
Okay,
French
but-
from where it's.
or did
Yeah.
the French get it from the Arabs?
I know, I think we got it from the French.
Okay, yeah, but that's the thing.
Carabot.
Yeah, caravat.
Carabot.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Caravat.
Carabot.
Yeah.
Just it sounded a little bit Russian when you said it.
Yeah.
Carabot. But it's not going to sound.
Moloko. It's, okay,
Carabot.
that's all I know.
Molotov.
No, Moloko. It's milk.
Molotov.
Moloko. Okay. I think it's eggs or bread. And
Club.
Yaitso.
Club.
Okay.
Club.
And
It's-
Yaitso. Wait, what was that?
I think it's club.
Okay.
Yeah.
that-
I'm not sure because
Is that
it's the
bread
same
or
in
is that
Czech.
eggs?
Huh?
Is that bread or eggs?
Kleba in Czech is bread, so I'm guessing.
Oh, and then Yaitso is eggs.
Yitsu. Yitsu. I don't know that.
Because
one.
those are the three things I generally buy when I go food shopping. So I asked my Russian
Yeah.
flatmate when we were shopping. I was like, bread, milk, and eggs. That's what I need to get by in a week.
This is the thing. When you live with somebody, you just want to like learn. If they know a language, you just want them to like point out things. So you learn some. Things
Yeah.
You
like
say that.
Yeah.
It could be you might do that. I
Hmm.
might do that.
Yeah, I do that.
Ali might do that. By and large, my experiences are throughout primary school, throughout secondary school, and maybe it's a maturity thing because I don't really encounter it much at uni. But primary and secondary, if someone can speak a different language, all that most people seem to ask is how
Swear
do you
words.
swear and how do you insult, which really bothered me. And that's not what I would ask. I would say, how do you say hi, how are you, or hi, my name is, or I
It's like,
don't
I'm
understand.
trying to be
I'm like,
civil here.
I want to be useful with my knowledge. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go around and like, well, if I visit your country, I'll insult everyone with money. That's what the internet's for. No.
No, like my girlfriend was in Dubai with my family. I used to teach her, when she wanted to say things like thank you. I used to tell her how to say thank you, but in like a really
Marhaba?
slang way.
What
No,
is
no,
thank you?
thank you is we say we say mamnoon,
Oh, mamnoon.
mamnoon, yeah, or we say mochakiram, or we say
So
merci.
coming back to me, Age of Empires 2, Saracens.
Really?
There's the Saracens and there's the Persians.
Really, they say these things.
They have these
I didn't know
phrases.
that. That's amazing.
So you just keep on playing it, you pick up them.
You learn all these
No,
languages.
that's the thing, you can, on Age of Empires, because they've got all the different civilizations,
Yeah.
and they use phrases. So you just pick out these key words. And it's like,
Yeah, so basically, I was telling her like my mom would like make her some food, and she would give her the food. My mom was like 60 years old, and she's really nervous meeting my mom. And she's like, "How do I say thank you?"
Aw.
And I told her the equivalent
she's 6
of
years old.
60, 65. But anyway,
Right.
His mum, not her. His
Oh yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I was like, especially looks kind of. She doesn't look 6. She
yeah,
doesn't
black,
look 60.
black don't crack.
What?
Like,
Racist, get out of my house!
she says that.
So you're allowed to say nice things about
That's nice.
racists.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
quite. That's quite.
Yeah.
I like that. And to be honest, that's kind of true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, exactly.
But why are you allowed to be? It's so silly because like if it's like an observation of a race and it just so happens to be negatively seen by, I mean, does it matter
But
if you
that's
look
the thing.
like you're
I just think
older?
that's
Oh
subjective.
no,
Doesn't
she
matter.
would like beat me up, like, you know,
But
if
it's
I
just so
make any
funny,
comment like that.
We're allowed to say that.
But see,
Yeah.
that's, I
So
think
you are allowed to say that in front of her.
Mm,
You are. Or not.
after initial grace
Not like,
periods.
you know, as a joke, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
not in a serious
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. That's why I'm with you, baby. Okay, there's the door.
Oh god, no. Anyway, but like, she got something from my mom, and she's like, "How do I say thank you?" And I'm like, I told her the equivalent of like, "Thanks, dog," something like that. And I told her, and then my mom starts laughing, and then all these. So she knows, how to speak. She knows some words in Persian, but only really slang ones. So yeah. So that's what I like to learn in new languages, because it always, when you use that, everybody's like, oh wow, this is like, it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
You start a relationship like that
exactly. Yeah.
based on slang.
Oh.
Mm.
Just so when you were talking about the army thing ages ago, I still thought, I don't know whether I understood. So if you're from a family with say 3 kids or two kids, and do you have to go to service just so say you're twins or something? What would happen with twins? Like you both have to go at the same year.
Yeah, I
And
guess
then-
they'll just pick one of you to go.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think just pick one a year ago. Well, I
You'll
know that.
technically be the one that's older, I
yeah.
guess.
So, for example,
You're 2
no, if you have
seconds.
twins,
Yeah.
actually no, this is weird because if you have twins, then you both have to go. If you have many brothers, you all have to go. But
Yeah.
for example, if your dad and not your mom,
Yeah.
if your dad is above 60, then
So you're allowed to look after your dad, but you're
Yeah,
not allowed to look after
I don't
your
know
mom.
why.
Or is it? I'm not saying this is the case, or is it a case that, still in the sense that the expectation would be
to take care of
that
your
the father would be the breadwinner of the family? That if
I
your
think so.
father's over 60, you replace your.
Yeah.
No, as in not
something
replace,
like that.
but
Yeah,
you now take on the
I see.
responsibility of
I
getting the
think
income.
so. Yeah, I think because 60 is the retirement age.
So I don't know for sure, but I'd guess I would say it's probably not so much that you have to look after your father and not your mother,
Yeah.
but more that your
The
father
family.
stopped working, so now you have to start
Yeah.
working to support the family.
You're the man of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not supposed to be like a good thing. You're going to work rather than going to have
Fight
fun
for country.
and learn how to shoot guns.
Drive a tank.
You actually have to learn how to shoot guns though in schooling.
Really?
Yes, we've got a module.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my
You
gosh,
have
it's
modules?
amazing. It's amazing. It's like Thursday morning, PHSE, we're going to sit here and talk about how to put a condom on or something.
Oh no,
and you guys
don't
are in the
have that.
field going, this is
Yeah,
how
no, that's
No,
me.
we
I
don't have
imagine you
sex
wouldn't
ed.
have that, yeah.
You don't have
We
sex
don't have
ed.
sex ed, no.
That's amazing. So you literally replaced that. With shooting a gun.
Yes.
A gun is a euphemism.
Yeah, so we and
Yeah,
the,
I'm in England.
the guns
How
they
am I
gave
supposed
us
to know?
are AK-47s. So,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
it was
They're
AK-47s.
quite effective.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
quite. I didn't go to
I
that
only
thing
know that
though.
because of Goldeneye,
Like,
like
it's-
64.
I didn't go. I just did very well on theory, but like I didn't go to the shooting
Oh,
range.
did you not have to?
No, I mean like everybody wants to go.
You
but
were
don't
too busy capoeira.
No, I was like too busy doing
Yeah,
math.
like-
I wasn't even doing capoeira.
It's like,
You were like,
everybody shoot. You're like, I
everyone
haven't finished the calculation of where it will go yet.
everyone
Let me
shoots
see.
bullets.
No,
and
but
I'm
the
just
thing
there
is, like-
dodging them.
To be honest, I was like really scared of going to because I know like all my friends were like they're nice people, but they're idiots in terms
Yeah.
of like
Being recorded.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. They know what I'm talking about. But they do like stupid jokes and then like oh shit.
Yeah.
So,
Has that happened?
well, I think there have been a couple of incidents.
Oh, wow.
Across the country, but
Oh, yeah, but-
not in our school. Like
Well,
no, nobody. Nothing happened like that.
that's a way to weed out, the people that you shouldn't take. I'm joking.
Silver lining.
Sorry, it just reminds me of like Russell Brand's comment here. Sorry, I'm like slightly.
Let's
I
go.
think he's quite funny, but he said something. Some magazine asked him, "What would your advice be to young pop stars, Mr. Brand?" And he was like, "Apparently, this is what he said. It's like, oh well, that's a bit of a stupid question because I'm not a pop star and that's a joke. So let's make a joke since I'm a comedian. I think they should all take heroin or something.
Oh God.
and they were.
But it does highlight the whole celebrity culture thing of why are they role models? And
Yeah.
like I think that's I'm guessing that's what he was kind of doing.
Yeah, like
just
why?
the whole-
Why should I say
Yeah.
anything?
Why am I a role
Yeah.
model? I'm not even a pop star.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, well, like at least it will weed out the weaker ones because being a pop star is quite, I don't know,
Quite exhausting.
Well, no,
or
he didn't
something.
say that. He just said, and heroin's quite a strong drug, so it will weed out the weaker ones or something. But
Oh dear.
and then apparently, like the Daily Mail was like, Russell Brand says Justin Bieber should take heroin, and he's like, that's not what I said. I didn't say he should go do that. I was just,
Surely weed would weed out the weed.
Oh my God.
There has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be said. There was opportunity.
Gosh, there's so much you're going to try and work out with those numbers.
Yeah, I did notice that. Like, quite. And I was like, no, look away.
Yeah.
Solve later.
They use the dot notation for multiplication. I'm like, what? 6.2? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something in my college because I have a lot of international students. Some of them use commas. So, because in England you have
I don't
commas
use anything.
as triple digit separates, and then the decimal point as the decimal.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of, like especially
Oh,
China,
we
they
use
do
commas. ...
and then commas for decimal points.
Oh, really? That's weird.
No, as in, sorry, not as in like not ... comma, but as in, so say you had 6 million. It would be
you
dot,
dot,
000,
and then
dot, 000,
So they literally put them
No,
opposite way around.
yeah, ours
Yeah.
is like we have commas for decimal points, but for separating we do it above.
You do it
Okay.
above? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's nice.
But
Yeah,
isn't
so-
that like sakin, where you join the words together?
I don't know.
I don't know what you would call it, but in Arabic script, where the punctuation mark, that means you join the sound.
Oh.
You have like an apostrophe, kind of like.
No, yeah, I know what you mean, but no, it's just like the line that way. Like, it's not.
Yeah, no,
it's not that
okay.
one, no. Oh wow, I despise learning Arabic because it was so difficult, like it's so structured.
But that's the thing. If you think about it, I think learning another language, if you've grown up with English, it's difficult in the sense that what are all these rules and structures that have order to them. But as soon as you learn one language, it's quite easy to learn the other one.
Yeah,
Because pretty much every other language follows order and structure. But going the other way, it could be really strange. It's like, when do these rules apply? It's like, we have these rules, but...
Yeah, exactly.
And then I said, we have rules in English grammar. They're kind of...
Oh
But
god,
it's very exception. Like,
Yeah.
technically, there's one word which has escaped me now, but technically, I think in American pronunciation, American English, it's actually pronounced properly.
Yeah.
If it follows the rules of the English language. I can't remember. There's definitely at least one word which I think I just don't get.
Color.
No. I can't
You
remember.
don't get.
They spell it better, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, they either say things as it's spelled or they write things as it sounds. So
yeah, they've tried
color
to-
rather
yeah.
than color.
Color.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What's
Color.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, like if we say hour, they say
Yeah.
router or they say
Yeah.
route.
And they don't say
Yeah.
colour because the beginning of our colour doesn't sound like that.
Yeah.
And they would say collar, collar, and it sounds a little bit
Collar,
more
right.
kind of
Like
symmetrical.
that.
I don't
That's
know.
racist. Cool.
Oh god.
I was gonna. So I don't know anything about Iran. How do you?
Draw a map.
Draw a map. No.
So we
What
can't
is
record
it?
this and convey out.
It's
Instead of a waveform for the upload, we could just have a picture of Iran.
You can take a picture. I was just gonna ask, how you write and.
it looks the same as Arabic would look to you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
So you say what
except
Arabic look like? Or-
yeah, except
I
it doesn't
Okay,
have
okay,
the
yeah.
things. It doesn't have.
I'm kidding.
It's
I
like
felt like really bad.
it's
You want
smoother when you
conference
write it.
line?
It's more
It's smoother.
smoother.
Like I don't know. In Arabic, do you like? For
I
example,
don't know. There's a pencil. There's a fountain.
I don't know this. It's
You
just
need
because
blood.
of the scripts that I've seen. Yeah.
You need a pen with some ink.
You use
Oh
blood.
no! You just
Oh, it's a pencil.
yeah, it's
I'll
a
use
pencil.
the
It's a pen.
pen. Yeah. So, oh god.
You've
sorry,
done
just
this
when
I
have-
can give you a biro.
Oh no, that's fine. Alright.
The
But
media
The thing is,
actually, they get used to the way you write with them, don't they? So they might.
really?
I
yeah,
don't
the
know.
way the nib
It's
kind of. If you
weird
keep
'cause
pressing on
kind
it
of
too
press
hard.
it, yeah, it's
Really?
Yeah.
hard to get on.
No, in the case of it's deliberately, consciously making an active effort to. It's like adapt. It's
Do you
like,
know me?
like, oh, what's your fountain pen? It's like a mahogany, dragon string, dragon
Yeah,
heart,
exactly. Exactly. And like, it won't write.
Hello, my name is Tom Riddle. Oh my gosh!
Oh God. So, for example,
Marika.
in
Oh, yay.
No,
Marika,
you
hadn't
can
even
actually
thought
do
of
that because the letters are there.
yeah, again.
Because in Arabic, you don't have a P sound.
Okay.
But
So
in my
Pepsi
language, we
is,
have it.
in Farsi,
Yeah,
it
we
is
have-
Farsi.
yeah,
Yeah.
as far as yeah,
Farsi, you
we
have a
have.
P.
So
But, you
let
have
me
a
let me
P
write it a
sound.
bit more structured so you understand. I don't think. Okay, so
But in
wait.
Arabic, there's no P sound.
Okay.
That's why Pepsi is known as Bebsi,
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
which is very amusing because
Yeah.
it's a very
Right.
big thing over there. But everyone
Yeah.
will say Bebsi, and a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, what?
So I'm quite glad that you won't understand this because my handwriting is terrible right now.
I no.
Yeah, I haven't written it. I haven't written it in
yeah,
so
of
long.
course.
But for example, what I wanted to show you is like
It's just a bunch of sines and cosines.
Yes.
Technically, it could be represented as such.
Yes.
Probably.
That's true. Wait, let me think of something. Right, so
It's going to give you something that you can write as a tattoo, and he'll tell you it's something really profound, but really it's just one of those dud phrases.
right. Wait, let me just.
Oh, that's pretty. So
I
that's,
think.
I
I don't remember the things. Alright, so that's your name first of all. Either of those. I'm just trying to, yeah.
So they're both going to be the same. But
Yeah,
one
they're
is
both
just
the same.
getting
Yeah, one is just getting better.
Okay.
So I don't
Cool.
they showed them as well, but
Cool.
the Farsi you have it
So
smoother. In
That's
Arabic
really
you have it
pretty.
like that.
Okay.
But they're both pronounced the same thing.
Really?
Yeah, and in Farsi
That's
we
really
don't
nice.
write the vowels.
How does that? There's only 1, 2, 3 corners in that. How does that say
They
Marita?
make great doctors.
Oh my god, it's like a nightmare.
Oh
Have you
my
not
God.
seen
No.
that chart where it goes to a doctor's handwriting chart and it's got
Yeah.
like A and it's some squiggles and B some other squiggles? So it's like,
That's really pretty. Can
I wrote something in Arabic, so he.
is it Marika or Marika?
oh
Because technically I think you've written Marika.
That's
So-
how we write America. So.
American.
No,
Yes.
no, so
American.
just a day off.
Yeah.
You know, when sometimes when I'm like,
Surely it should be infidel. Okay. Without the F. It's infidel. But yeah, it's the same. It's pretty much the same letters.
Yeah.
But
They're the same.
just
way.
that it's the style of writing.
Yeah, it's the
what do you mean? The ones at the
Between
top?
Arabic and Farsi.
Well, it's the same shape if you're like.
Wait, what have you written in Arabic?
Yeah.
That's not
So-
Marika.
No, that's not Marika. No, that's not. No, that's not in Arabic. They don't follow the same format. I was just trying to write it better, but
Wait.
I couldn't.
What did you write in Arabic though?
Shams.
Okay, I was gonna say that like that doesn't say Marika.
Yeah, no, the other.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
going to say they look kind of. I mean, they've got a colour at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Wait, what's Shams?
Son.
Shams. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Shams. Yeah.
What? Do you know what? Shams? What?
Shams. It just means sun.
What?
The
Sun.
sun.
Sun. Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, damn. I wish I had a writing that I could show you.
No, the thing is, oh yeah, this is the thing that I was talking about online about writing. You know,
yeah.
so when I was about like I think 16, I was trying to begin to write my numbers in like English style, you know, writing rather than just the other one that we have. So
Oh, show me the
So,
other one.
yeah, I'll show you the other one.
I
So,
guess the easy way to distinguish is Arabic script and Arabic numerals.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because
I thought-
when I was reading what you wrote,
Yeah, I got.
it was
I
only
lost
when
it.
you put in brackets. No, it made sense, but I only realised that you actually meant the other thing because you
Yeah.
put in brackets as the other one.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, as in, yeah, because like we call it the Arabic numeral system. The fact that we don't use X, I, or we just write the
Hmm.
digits, and that was adopted
That
from
was-
the Arabic.
Yeah, I was
number
going to say,
system.
I thought ours was from Arabic.
Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't realise that's what Ali meant. That he didn't mean that until he wrote not the number system, but the
Oh.
actual numbers themselves. I was like, oh, okay. As in,
confused
'cause-
now.
So you know how, like, in English, the number 1
Yeah.
is written.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
in Arabic,
It
apparently,
happened again.
the number 1 is kind of written in a similar way, but like the digit for 3, the character for 3,
Mm.
is different in Arabic script. So it's still the same numeral system in terms of you just write the
Yeah.
digit,
Yeah.
but
Like
the
it
actual
has
script, the
same-
character itself
yeah.
is different. That's it.
Uh-huh. Oh, I didn't realize. So yeah, I've always.
Right, so those are the numbers.
Oh wow.
Is he going right to left or
No,
left
it's
to right?
the same. It's the same direction that you would
Oh, is it?
read
Okay.
numbers in.
Jeez.
Your math is always in one direction.
Because isn't it to do with the notches? Well, I don't know if it's the same in Arabic, but
It's
like
the same in
there's
Arabic.
1, and then there's
But 5,
2,
like,
and then 3.
yeah.
4, I can't.
4
Isn't 4 like almost a rounded square? It's a
don't,
circle basically.
Like, look. Like,
It looks. It reminds me a little bit of watching a history program and them being like.
oh no, your 4 is different. In Arabic, they write 4s differently.
Yeah. By the
they
way,
write
I'm
4s
not
like
Arab,
yeah,
just so-
I know. Jesus.
You're
No.
4.
No, but the 4
No,
that
no,
you're
I
talking
don't-
about, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that 4 is like, it's like an E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like because when I started distinguishing it, I
It's
just
like an
realized
epsilon.
number 2 has 2 notches,
Yeah.
3 has 3 notches,
That's
4
yeah.
is kind of a very rounded square. That's how I remember
But not
what
a
it
circle.
is. Yeah, and then 5 is kind of a backwards 2.
Yeah.
In Arabic, isn't it?
Oh,
Like
right.
it's kind of
Yeah.
a really stylish,
Yeah.
hip, cool 2, but backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, what I was talking about when I was transitioning between one set of writing and the other one, I was trying to write in English all my numbers, but then at some point, like, when I was thinking about something, I would just relapse
Yeah.
or something. And like if I want to write like 1, 2, 3, 4, it would end up being like something like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Okay.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Oh.
that 3 would
Yeah.
switch, which would be nonsensical. It would, like the 3 would be the other way around, which didn't make sense. So I was like,
As
what the hell?
as in you'd write like.
Mirror.
Yeah, so you'd do like
No,
that
no.
or something.
No, like mirror what I just wrote.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So the
Okay.
teeth would be in the other
okay.
direction, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
And you would just be like,
Like,
what's
what
wrong
have
with
I
me?
wrote? Yeah.
That's so
Exactly.
strange.
Yeah.
Well, I have the problem with if my mum she would say that I was really stupid as a kid. I couldn't get used to like. I still sometimes have a problem with D and B. I put the stroke
other
on
one
the
over.
wrong. Yeah, I'm like I'll write a word and it's like what the.
So it's like relatively trivial. It's just,
Trinidad.
there's a website called bash.org which just has like copy pastes from conversations that have happened on the internet, like back when they had chat, well they still do, but like IRC chat.
People
Yeah.
used to do it.
No, like IRC chat rooms, and
Yeah.
then people have just copied and pasted conversations from there. And there's one where a guy's drawn like just using like, ASCII art has just it looks like someone listening to music on headphones,
Mhm.
and it's just D dash underscore dash B. So it's like someone
like
deep,
headphones.
like listening to music really deeply with their eyes closed, kind of thing.
Okay.
And then the comment next to it is like, "Oh, how'd you do that backwards B?" Wait, never mind.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, I do. That website is just fun for little laughs.
Or just, massively rolling on the floor and looking at it.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's like, WTF is a palindrome, and the other person goes, "No, it's not."
What's a
Oh yeah,
palindrome?
they're saying, "What is a palindrome?" And then the other person just goes, "No, it's not." As in, WTF is not a palindrome.
What's a
What's a
palindrome?
palindrome?
Oh, right,
Yeah.
yeah. Palindrome is just a word that's the same backwards. Well, it's a word or a
Oh.
phrase that's the same backwards. So
Really?
radar, mum,
Oh, okay.
dad, race car.
Okay.
The best one I've heard is a man, a plan, a canal, Panama.
Really?
What?
A man, a plan, a canal, Panama.
And
That whole
backwards.
sentence.
If you write that
is-
whole thing, and then backwards it's the same thing.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does.
So-
A man.
So a man who had a plan.
No, but
Got a canal.
there
Panama.
wasn't a who.
No, I know,
it's just
but as in
like,
that's the
yeah.
thing. So it's just a man, a plan, a canal, Panama.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, I see. Okay.
like that's
If
all.
you put the punctuation in, but then if you put the punctuation in, it won't be symmetrical.
Of course not.
Oh, no, if you just wrote the letters out
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
yeah,
just
yeah.
smushed it all together
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then flipped it.
It's like,
Hashtag a man.
Yeah. Hashtag
Hashtag
man,
a
canal,
man.
Panama. There was a man at Panama Canal. Hashtag Panama.
Oh,
Might do
wow.
that now.
Oh god. Right. So you said
Actually, I could do that. And then if anyone listens to this, I'll get to that point. Look out for it on Twitter and go hashtag Panama.
oh god.
No kidding. But I will do this just for the sake of it.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So I'm listening.
Yeah, go on. So you said you had a conversation with someone about time. I don't remember who.
Sean.
Shane.
Shane. I always
Shane or
sorry, I always
Sean?
call him
Shane.
Shane.
S-H-A-N-E.
Yeah.
Shane.
Hello, my name is Shane. He doesn't sound like that.
Anyway, what was the conversation about?
Oh, it's just like we were talking about the time and perception of time that. A lever.
What the?
That's not my chair, so I don't know. Oh,
I don't know what
You
I'm
can
doing.
gr-
Probably shouldn't do it whilst you're sat on it, whatever it is.
you
You're
can
not
grind
sure.
pepper, and pepper comes out the bottom.
But I can't. You know, it moves.
No, so time. Like,
I just realized what you said.
You just take your plate and you spit it under your bum.
just put the plate under your chair. And you're like,
I don't know what has happened.
yeah.
Oh. I think that's happened.
I didn't
Strange. Why
realize
don't I
it
just have the lever?
I don't know if this is going more back or not.
Clearly, it's
Oh.
go.
If you push back like
Oh,
that.
actually, yeah, that makes sense because it's a screw connected to a pole that's at an angle. We're discussing chairs for anyone
You can-
listening.
yeah.
No, the perception of time
Nobody's
thing was.
listening. Nobody's listening.
Yeah, maybe not. There's 22 views on me to say if it's gone up
From
this
different
time.
idea, Joseph. It's like at uni.
There's computer. No, about time. So generally we perceive time and our daily experience and our perhaps intuitive perception of time. It's just time is, a passage that we go through. We experience things through time. Almost in a way that time is constant, which we pick up physics, we kind of try past that. But time is always going on, and we experience things in the realm of time. Whereas, which is kind of what we still go with in physics of time being another dimension. That events occur in space time, but they have spatial coordinates and temporal coordinates. But then we were discussing, what if time isn't. Well, what if entropy is kind of a result of our perceptions? That it's not an actual law of fundamental law of the universe. That things
Get more
go in
disordered.
times with arrow. Yeah. What if all these events and scenarios exist simultaneously? Like, what if there is no actual time, as in this happens after this? It's just everything is already there simultaneously, and it's just whatever our consciousness is, whatever the nature of that might be. What if it's just we actually go through from one event to another event to another event at some arbitrary path, and in our minds the connections we bridge between that is our perception of time. So we relate one event to another event and order it in such a way that this is the direction because this follows trends and rates and differentials that in our minds make sense. So what if all of it has already happened, is happening, will happen, and it's just the path that we take through it? Because you could say, like, technically, whatever path you take from A to B, the displacement is always the same, but your path might not be. So So what if that is happening with time?
But how can you take another path in one dimension?
But what if it's not one? What if time isn't an actual
That's so
dimension?
cool. I hadn't thought about there being other. Well, of course. I mean, yeah, I hadn't thought of that analogy of there being paths in the kind of sort of spatial way. I mean, you can kind of thought about time traveling, but I never really thought about it as you could actually literally experience the universe in a completely different, way of traveling through the kind. But that is what like with special relativity and general relativity, isn't that what we've kind of found out, that time and that everything is kind of, there is everything sort of mapped out that's happening in the universe. Sort of,
Depends
I
on.
don't know. It's connected to everything else, and that you can travel backwards through time and stuff.
Is
I
there
don't
a
know how to put
direction
it,
of time?
but yeah, I mean, as in, yeah, there's no, like, the universe isn't really experiencing time changing, but I can't
So,
remember.
like, what if the universe is all bleh, just there?
It's just
Yeah.
there.
But it's just as we go through different. So almost as if, say, you had an array of events, a multi-dimensional array of events, and time isn't actually one of those dimensions, but we define the journey we take, the path from one element of an array to another,
Yeah.
etc. What if that is all? I mean, we weren't saying this is the way.
Yeah.
It could be, maybe, who knows? But it was just, what if, just to try and push it out of the box.
Yeah, I was reading about time in Brian Greene's book.
Elegant Universe? Or
I think it's called The Elegant Universe.
there's the Elegant Universe, and then
I'm just going to get
there's another one. Technically, I meant to have read the Elegant Universe. I read the first half of it, and then I got to my interview. My interview came up before I finished the book. But I thought I would have finished the book by then.
You sound like me, like, oh, I better prepare. Oh, fuck it. Like, I'm really passionate about this. I've read this book. I've got it enough. Don't want to read that anymore. The Fabric of the Cosmos.
Oh yeah, that was. I think that's the.
Yeah.
That's either the first or the second one, and the Elegant Universe is the other one.
That's either the first or second one.
Yeah, well, one of them came first. Or what if there was no first or second? They both existed.
They both existed. They did. But yeah, it was really interesting. He was trying to sort of talk about, I can't remember it. Because speed that you're traveling, like your motion is related to your perception of time. And like if you had, if there was somebody, I can't remember how it was, like if there's somebody in a really far away solar system or galaxy, maybe you have to be, and if they just did they're on a planet and they just did a small little circle around their living room, then by them doing that, somehow the corresponding time that it would be for us in Earth, if they were somehow to be able to communicate with us, is that by them walking around, Earth would be changing by hundreds of years for some reason. I can't remember why. And so if you're able to have like instant communication, you could, but you can't. So, but something like that, I can't remember. I thought it was weird. And he was trying to have like a diagram of what time is and what the universe is in terms of like a loaf of bread, as you do.
Doesn't your maths lecture? I don't know if it was relativity.
It was just math.
It was just maths and baguettes.
Yeah.
Was it to do with integrals, surface integrals or something?
Yes. Surface integrals and volume. It was Gauss's theorem. Divergence. Yeah.
That's right. It's only on recording for your supervisor. Because they listen to this too.
Oh no, well they know I forgot.
I'm going to send this out as like when people say it's like, oh, do you have any references? It's like, we know this red one guy who keeps recording some people's philosophical conversations.
General
with
ramblings.
consent, of course. No, the thing I like about the space-time thing is, so you could kind of argue that the units we use to measure things, like our base quantities and base units, are relatively arbitrary.
Yeah.
In the sense that, because you could say, well, okay, so technically we say there are 8 base quantities: distances, time, temperature, current, etc. All these, like we say, these are the things we can, not fundamental in terms of these are the things that make up the universe, but you can't represent meters fundamentally in any of the other units, and so on. You can't. It is kind of I guess, to try and make a fancy phrase out of it, non-cyclical. Or you can't. You just can't make any permutations of it from the other. You can't represent meters by seconds or current, etc. So effectively, you could say, well, I thought surely effectively that means you can represent the universe in these 8 base quantities, that you can measure the universe against these 8 quantities, which is kind of what we do by saying that it's either got to be in one of these 8 units.
And how do you represent a thought?
That's a good question. Hold on to that thought. See what I did there. No. And then you could say, if you've got these 8 quantities, then you could effectively create 8 dimensions that you're measuring these quantities. So you have a dimension of distance, a dimension of time, candle, or brightness, temperature, etc. So you could kind of represent the universe in 8 dimensions. Obviously, like, you can immediately say, well, spatial things, you have 3 dimensions at least. But then you could just, I don't know, take the magnitude of that and then represent that on the distance dimension. But what are they all measures of? They all measure a manifestation of some phenomena in the universe. But what is that a manifestation of? And then if we say energy can't be created or destroyed, therefore the total energy of the universe is constant, you could this is what I was going with, that you could effectively say the whole universe, all our measurements are measurements of the state of energy of the universe, which is kind of what we do with entropy, like the total entropy of the universe. That's what we're measuring effectively. So kind of holding all of that in one place. With the space-time thing, that there are actually, we say 4 dimensions of the spatio-temporal thing. And our perception of time is affected by how fast we're going. So what I was thinking is, so the faster you go, the slower your perception of time, not relatively speaking.
Yes.
So in a conservation sense, that means like, let's say we're always going at the speed of light, but we're taking the units out of meters per second and using the natural unit system, so we just say c. So if you're going at c, so in our daily lives, we're going at, in the spatial aspect, we're going really slowly. So
with respect to
kind of c in a spatial
sense.
But
with respect to
time,
what?
So in space, we go through relatively slowly compared to how we go through the passage of time. So again, we can't compare it in terms of the units. But if you're saying that you've got your 4 dimensions, let's say 3 spatial, oh no, let's say 2, okay, spatial and temporal. And the spatial, we're just going to say, is the magnitude of the 3 x, y, z. Okay. So if you're going through, we experience a time, let's say right now, if we consider this the standard passage rate that we go through time, and we're going at relatively slow speeds compared to the speed of light. But then, as you approach the speed of light, so apparently your perception of time, your passage through time, gets slower compared to a static observer.
Yeah.
So if you think about this, the overall magnitude of both these vectors, the sun, is constant. So it's just really, how are you splitting it? So the faster you go in space, the slower you go through time, and vice versa. And I just thought that was a really, for me, that seemed like a very simple way of. I just thought, okay, that kind of makes an intuitive understanding of what they say with why your perception of time slows down and vice versa, depending on your velocity in spatial dimensions.
That is a conservation law of sorts.
Well, it's because the electromagnetic spectrum. Oh no, just because I taught this today. Well, recapped it today, that for EM spectrum in a vacuum, regardless of what wavelength or frequency, C is going to be the same. So as a frequency goes up, the wavelength has to go down to conserve that overall quantity. And we're still keeping C constant here. And so whatever units it might actually be, so we say meters per second, but in terms of the natural unit system, we just say C. And so in this realm of where it's space-time, which the magnitude of our travel through space-time is always C, but it's just how is it distributed along time and space.
Yeah. What I was thinking about is, you said about time, and little bit more mathematical, if you will, and how we quantify time. Like how we quantify distance is, what is our fundamental bit of distance, right? We don't have that, right? Because
Don't we have the Planck length?
well, okay,
Damn.
no,
Okay.
but the thing is, the Planck length it comes down to the uncertainties, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have anything less than that is not.
Physically measurable.
No,
Well,
because it's I don't know, to be honest.
I'm not saying that's a challenge. It's just like
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying, I was thinking about I was just thinking about a plane of numbers, and a plane of numbers, they have a couple of levels. You can have just numbers like natural numbers 1, 2, 3, or you can have real numbers, which or negative real numbers which have the negative ones and have the decimal points, and then you can have complex numbers which can have imaginary parts. And I was wondering if you can represent that other than a phase factor, in time.
Represent
What
what?
do you mean?
Represent
Imaginary numbers.
as in, so we represent them as a phase relation.
No, not as a phase relation.
Oh no, as in, so you're saying we represent it as phase, but is it possible to represent it as
Something
some
else.
other?
Something else. Because I'm thinking if you time.
No.
Check.
Yeah, so the door like swings right around, so you can. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I don't know why, but I was thinking that. Yeah, I was thinking, for example, time past cannot be negative, right?
Yeah.
By definition.
Okay.
Because it has to be positive. So
Okay.
I was thinking if you have you can insert the imaginary numbers into our equations, then you could get, stuff moving in the other direction of time. When now why do I say that? Right? Why is it just not negative numbers? I don't know. Yeah.
I'm a bit confused.
No, yeah, I'm confused as well. Yeah, I was wondering if they have a place there, because I've been wondering this a long time, other than just a phase relation in any of any of the equations, or anything at all.
Yeah, I don't really quite understand what you're getting at.
Right. So you know how when we talk of numbers, when we talk of like distance, we have you can have any number of distance, right? You can be anything. And when you say negative is behind you, when you say positive is in front of you, for example. Let's say it that way. Then but that means that this system of numbers that you're using is only real. You're not using complex numbers. So what happens if you start using complex numbers? What does that represent? And if we can find out what that represents in distance, then what would it represent in time?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but yeah. I guess.
So I've been thinking about that.
But I mean, we can represent time. You can represent things that have a real magnitude, but they will be complex, like current and stuff. You can have like a complex.
Yeah, that's their phase.
But yeah, that's their phase. So
which gives it a time thing.
Yeah, it just adds on. It just shows a relationship like a cyclic phase. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it. I mean, you could represent a distance surely, like with I don't know, like a person standing on a roundabout. Surely, like what's my distance from me to them standing on a roundabout? And if they're going round and round, you can say it's this distance plus a phase plus a complex. So would that be a complex number, right? Or yeah. So it wouldn't necessarily have to. It would just have to. Yeah, I don't. But other than that, but I mean, yeah, there could be other things that we want to describe like that. Like, I don't know, there's some hidden, there's like another force we haven't found. And actually, but yeah, no, it's, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
What was, yeah. Sorry, I'm not so great at the old physics.
No, it's not. It wasn't. Yeah.
Sorry, what did I miss?
You missed,
Oh.
Sorry.
you missed me talking about a roundabout.
Well, I was thinking about, you know, how in representations of distance we only have real numbers. I mean, it's static. Let's not think of anything changing. And complex numbers don't really represent anything. And I was wondering if they do, if it's possible to make them represent something. And in that case, what would they represent in the time dimension?
I think I get what you mean. I think I get what you mean.
Yeah.
As in, so you're saying because we have space-time,
Yeah.
that there should be some way to translate between distance and time? Or?
Well, no, I was...
Oh, no, I could have misunderstood. I apologize.
Well, no. Like, the thing is... Okay. So...
I don't know whether there is. I don't think that.
Technically, there isn't with our unit system. You can't represent distance by time.
But what you were saying with C was...
Yeah.
That would be, but I hadn't really thought about that before or know about that, but yeah. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was thinking, like, you know how when you want to measure distance, when you say, like, 5 meter, or position, if you will, 5 meters plus 5 in one dimension would be in front of you, and minus 5 would be 5 behind you. And you can have, you can have real numbers here, you can have, irrational numbers, anything. But you can't have complex numbers here. Like, I plus I doesn't mean anything there. So I was wondering if you can relate it to something. And yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's like a really abstract thought.
No.
But yeah.
I think I'll have to think about that one
Yeah.
to get some framework.
Because I mean, it's there. The numbers, the system is there.
It's very strange how I works.
Yeah.
As in, like the fact that it seems to work for us in the real world. Yeah, we cannot physically explain. Like we can say there is a phase, but we can't actually. It's like whenever we did the wave physics module, it was always a case of, and because we're now dealing with the actual wave, we only take the real part.
Yeah.
So it's almost a kind of fills in the gap.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm wondering what is the gap that it fills. That's just a mathematical ease that they gave us.
Could it be the god of the gaps? To be honest, we still do that in science. We still fill things up with gaps.
Yeah.
Like dark matter.
Yeah.
We couldn't physically observe it, but we said there's still something there, and we're going to call it dark matter. But it's not done in the same way before anyone gets angry on the internet. So, like, it's not done or may get angry on the internet. It's not done in the same way of...
Yeah, but like I could come and say dark matter doesn't exist, and you'd be like, well, yeah, it's there. It's like, oh, well, you're calling it dark matter. It could be anything. But then again, you'd say, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of semantic.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that we still kind of do God of the gaps in science. I guess the difference would be, so typically whenever God of the gaps seems to have been used, it's in a, don't question it, this is what God does.
Yeah.
No more questions, there's your answer. Whereas in science, there's a temporary filling for the gap, but we're still going to question it. So we still fill things with gaps. But
but they're like really
it's like
rough working.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I still think that needs to be acknowledged, the fact that in science you still fill gaps with ideas.
With I don't know what's said in a fancy way.
Kind of. But as in, that's the thing, the difference being often the difference being it's a reasoned fill. What do you think, Marie?
Yeah, no, just when I said about so I said I didn't quite talk about it fully, and like I was like trying to think of an analogy, but if you had my distance to Ali is x plus a complex number I thought would be if he was like on a roundabout and then he would be going round and round like a phase, but that would be the magnitude of your complex number. It wouldn't that would be you'd be taking the magnitude which is real, and or it isn't, the magnitude isn't real. The magnitude is real.
The magnitude is real. But it's made from the real and the complex.
Yeah, but like literally, what if you had I, and what would that mean, and why don't you have it? But I guess because but like with current and stuff, it's because
for example,
there's other stuff.
Why I even thought of this is that when you think of distance of an object accelerating classically, you've got half a t squared.
Yeah.
So if t is here, if you put t as a complex number, then no, but actually no, you won't, because it would be the modulus of t squared. It would still be positive. Yeah, so that doesn't work.
Yeah, but I mean, the complex part would play a part in that though, and like if t was complex, then it would
constant. Doesn't it still make it constant? Because with the phase changing, the other argument has to change accordingly.
Yeah.
So it's just to keep it level, and then the phase just describes how the other one's changing. So
it's weird. It's like the complex plane is like this sneaky little line that like exists. It's like the back closet of every number. They've got a closet where labeled I, and they can just throw stuff in there. Yeah. Those numbers, sneaky.
It's quite interesting though, in the sense that it's there. I'm not going to say it's there as a convenience, because I'm pretty sure there's justification for it being there, which I can't recall. But
where was the module?
I think the justification was to make trigonometry easier. So somebody just introduced it, and then they straight up went to the what's that guy's theorem named? E to the I theta equals cos theta plus I.
Poor Euler, that guy.
It's such a beautiful. It's so elegant though. The fact that, because for me, I think like the special, in my mind, the special numbers, so to speak, of these are kind of these. Whenever laws are made, they take a number from this set, and that's either 0, 1, or infinity.
Yeah, because that's what they need.
Yeah, but it's kind of no. But I just mean like any law or principle, because whether it's an all or nothing, or there's one. There's either nothing that either a rule applies to nothing, or like you never do something, or either you always do something, or there is one instance of this. I don't know, like, but even that is with scale. Yeah, well, like I don't mean that's a hardcore absolute.
Yeah.
Because there are like things happen in moderation, but it's still stacking. So you have principles that might follow these all or nothing laws, or only on one instance, but then you can stack them up accordingly and tick the ifs or no's.
I don't know what's stacking, but
I just mean like, say you had a series of if statements.
Yeah.
If this, yes. If no, go to the next if statement. If this, yes. If no, go to the next one.
Yeah, you still get.
But you could have different laws that say, like, never kill someone. If this, like in war. I'm not saying that justifies it, but that's usually one of the common examples of, is murder ever justified?
I'm gonna do that, but I want to say this.
Very nice.
Before
there's a bike wheel. There's a bike wheel. It's like, you put the toilet roll on the bike wheel and it's spinning now.
Oh my god! You can demonstrate angular momentum. Anyway.
That is very nice actually.
Yeah, that's
because obviously as because it should be conserved, because the momentum converts to linear momentum as the real horizon. Because if you have a toilet roll and
I can't believe how much we managed to diverge from one topic to the other.
This is what happens. But no, if you had a toilet roll and you haven't taken the first
He
pile.
wants to go to the toilet.
Go on.
Sorry. Like if you have the toilet roll and it's brand new, so you haven't broken the reel, like the first ply, and you spin it, the radius is constant. But if you make the toilet roll loose, as in, if you were to spin it, then it unreels. then the radius is getting smaller.
Mhm.
So, if the system was isolated in a way, then the
If it was a perfect toilet
yeah,
roll.
no, then the angular momentum should increase, so it should roll quicker as the radius is going down.
Oh really?
The rotational velocity should increase,
Right.
but
Surely it would
because the mass is, you still have those sheets connected.
Mm-hmm.
The angular momentum goes into the linear momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what the
So
relationship.
how would the system become? How
Oh, no,
would the
no, so
system
no,
be
no, but
ideal?
I'm just saying that, like, if you were just
If you had, like, a
if you were to
really-
suddenly somehow get rid of
The mass.
the excess, like sheets that
by
are coming off.
somebody wiping
Somehow.
their bum.
Oh, I don't know, if, like, you just kept chopping.
No,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
thing is, the angular momentum depends on I.
Yeah,
So I would decrease as m decreases.
because as a radius, because mass is a function of radius,
Yes.
that's decreasing. But the fact that it doesn't come off, so the angular momentum gets siphoned off into linear
Linear
momentum.
momentum.
And I don't know if that's a direct relationship or
I don't know.
quadratic. Or
Yeah.
but if we're saying, like, let's just say it's linear,
Yeah.
then that should rotate. The radius is going down, the mass is staying constant, so the mass is conserved.
Okay.
So I would be conserved and it would go faster, but because the angular momentum is being converted to linear momentum.
Yeah. So I doesn't apply after.
So angular momentum should effectively stay the same. So
No,
it should,
no, no. But the thing is, the mass is being taken away from I still.
What's I?
I is
moment
the
of inertia.
moment of inertia.
Ah, okay.
The mass is still being taken away from
Oh, yeah,
rotation,
okay,
so it's
so
no longer
I
rotational
think-
inertia. Yeah.
So even if you had a frictionless system,
it would still
It's a
it would still
frictionless
slow
toilet.
down.
until like you take the last roll and then it keeps
Actually,
on going.
but would it though? Because say you were just in a vacuum. No, like, I know this might seem completely trivial.
This is wonderful.
Gravity exists.
No. Let's just say you're in the middle of space and
Yeah.
and you just have a frictionless bearing with the toilet roll, and you just somehow get the first sheet to go off, so it
Yeah.
goes off in a linear motion,
Yeah,
and it's
it
rotating,
would all go.
and it wouldn't say linear, I guess, because that's changing.
No, you have to remember that
It's slowly
the force that
moving.
is. Oh, it would slow down.
No, as in because let's say you had a radius of 5 centimeters, then the first one, if you were to draw a line
Yeah.
through the coaxial line, then the first sheet would be parallel to that.
Okay.
But then as the radius decreases, the point of origin decreases.
Yeah.
So that line wouldn't remain parallel. Your line of
Yeah,
sheets
it
coming
won't.
off wouldn't be parallel. But if that's constantly going,
But it won't constantly go. Slow down. Because it's
The
using
roll is-
energy
yeah.
to to move those sheets to turn the angular momentum to linear ones.
and because the
Maybe you
because-
should go to contact Andrex.
well, the angular momentum's going down as well, because we've established that's decreasing
Okay.
because I is decreasing.
Yes.
So it would slow down.
So where is it going? Because
So
it's-
and as it slows down, it should eventually. Is it going to asymptote to 0, or is it actually going to stop?
Do you have
at
an
a
infinite
critical
supply
point?
of toilet roll? Because at some point it's going to
No, I know, but that's the thing. So say you had an infinite supply.
Oh my god, this is being recorded.
No, seriously. So
Yes, but
what
sir.
if? It's not just like
Okay, you have an
spaceship
infinite supply. Would it be an asymptote? Let me see.
Would it asymptote to 0, or would it actually stop?
I don't understand what's happening.
No, it shouldn't
Alright.
stop because I is still greater than. There is no reason for I to decay to 0. It should just to go to 0 because
Right.
it's frictionless, and we're saying it's conserved. But it's
So
been
something
converted-
should push it away if it's. Well, the
But
thing
then
is,
we need to
let's,
see if
okay, let's think in terms of energy.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's usually easier. So as you know, you're taking energy away. So you're giving a certain amount of energy to this first piece of toilet roll that you have. Okay, and then toilet paper, not toilet roll, and then you throw it, and that piece has the highest energy, and that piece is giving us energy to all these other pieces, right? So therefore, it will slow down as it gains mass, and so on and so on. So that given that energy is finite, eventually it should stop.
But is the energy actually being subtracted or divided along it?
It's being divided.
So it will slow down, but will actually hit 0.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of pieces of toilet paper. Hold on.
Yeah. Because if it's infinite, you can say it's continuous or discrete.
Are you discussing whether if you had a really big toilet
So if you had
roll,
an infinite, so if you had just one toilet roll of infinite plies, and then you fired one off.
Andrex would be so interested.
No, seriously, we could actually.
Puppies, screw puppies. Everybody's bored of puppies. Let's do like a toilet roll ad in space.
Let's simplify it a bit more, although it might be complicating it a bit more. Let's say that there is somehow this bearing is not held constant, so that it doesn't, go down the bit so that it stays level, right? So that makes the problem a bit simpler. Somehow.
I don't think that would be too much of a like. If it's just just this in the system, then I don't think that
depending on how
will
big
change
it
the
is.
camera. You can say that dy is negligible. It's a small angle approximation. No, but if we're saying, I think it would only go to 0 if, like, the conversion between. So if you have two terms here, the angular momentum term and the linear momentum term, then it could be, depending on the relation, if it's just like they both say first order, then it's just a simple transfer. But say I'm going to say convert loosely here, but say to convert from angular momentum to linear momentum,
you have a second order term.
Is a second order term, then it could be that there will be a critical point where it flips.
Yeah. And it won't.
And that would go to 0.
Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah.
I don't
so
know.
it depends on what approximation. No, it depends on the approximation we're making.
Well, no, it doesn't depend on the approximation. If we do make the approximation, then it won't.
So it depends on our assumptions.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If we're assuming that it's just a simple first order thing, then. But yeah, like I said, if we assume it's first order, what would happen? Then it should just decay asymptotically to 0.
Okay, let's see. As it keeps going, energy. Okay, so here we could get quantum and say that it can't be continuous. After a certain point, the energy would be so low that it can't be continuous, so it has to stop.
But if we keep out,
but
then I think would it? Because if it's a finite. No, because if it's a finite input energy, it would still and we're not going with quantized.
Yeah.
Then we just say it's infinitesimally. The energy is distributed infinitesimally across each ply. Then it slowly like if you were to observe it, it would look like it's not moving, but on a fundamental level, it is.
Yeah.
Then we introduce quantized state, and then we say it would stop.
Yeah. It would be quantized. Like would wait, like I'm thinking like would it be sort of like a free? It would be free particle type of thing, so it won't be as quantized as we think. So the energy, would also be continuous, ish.
Does the role ever unravel?
Oh my god!
I think you've discovered like a niche PhD needs to be done.
Oh god!
Toilet rolls in smooth.
The igloo bells for this.
I thought that was an interesting. I'm actually really tempted now.
Me too. To just do it,
We'll just collaborate on this, and then I don't know. It's like. I think at least a 3-page letter could be written about it.
Definitely. Definitely.
I don't think I quite follow.
Okay, so...
when we
don't tell me more!
When we publish the paper, you can read about it in Nature.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to say before this was that we usually define a wave function in terms of, let's say, we define time-independent wave functions. And that's where we start, and then we add perturbations to it. What if we start with a space-independent one? Is that possible? I mean, at least mathematically.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah. And
because you've got two-part differential. You've got one which is...
Yeah, but your Hamiltonian is usually described.
Yeah. Well, sure. Wait, what do you call it when you split the variables?
Yeah. Split the variables.
No, but what's it called? When you get an equation that you can split into two parts. Is it just partial differentials?
No. Okay, I know what you mean though. Like you have to split it and
So
get
like if you got
get
something,
one side to
so,
depend on one thing, get the other side to depend on something else.
yeah, like you just have capital psi as a function of x and t.
Yeah, and then you
make
get an
one
X part and a T part.
What is that called?
It's called we call
Yes.
the
You know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
kind of.
What is that called? It's in the notes everywhere.
I know
And
it's
it's like one of the questions of like.
we assume solutions of the form this times that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. It doesn't matter what it was called.
No. But yeah, sorry.
No,
But
there's, like,
but usually the Hamiltonian of anything usually depends on space. I mean,
You describe the part, but
how
isn't
can you
this-
describe the energy independently of space?
But isn't this linked to how the fact that we say x as a function of t, x dot as a function of t, x dot dot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the dot kind of implies it. But why do we? This kind of goes on to the whole perception of time.
Okay, I can't hold it anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, we'll sit with you and discuss.
sorry, you don't have to leave the door that wide open. It's just because the washing's drying. But yeah. I've forgotten all equations in physics. It's official.
How do you say? I think it's just called independent solutions.
Yeah, or separation of variables or something.
That's it.
No,
It's separation of variables.
I don't remember all the fancy equations, but I do. I can. What do you call it when you separate variables?
I think it's.
I don't know. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Oh yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just thinking I don't remember any equations, and I'm also a bit tired. I'm just like,
If you want us to leave,
no, it's fine, it's good. I just.
we're just going to be here, and then you're just going to hit the floor, and then we'll be like,
What?
For anyone listening, that large thud.
Was not that large though.
Yeah, I knew I should have said large. I said like, you know what I meant. It's the fact that you're next to the microphone. I was like, as soon as I said large, so I was like, I put modifier in here, and this is subjective, and I'm going to get called out. Large thud. Like, here we go. You know what I meant.
I know. Yeah.
Seriously, have dinner.
Oh, I forgot about that. I also need to now, so I'm waiting till in case I can't think about
Such
anything
a
else.
trendsetter.
The trendsetter.
I
No,
went
it was
first,
like,
and then I was like, yeah, I think I'll go. It's a cool. And then you're like, everyone's doing it, I'll do it.
if you want some tea, please, would you
I
like
don't-
some anything?
I
Are
think-
you sure?
Would you like to?
Or would you like, yeah, I don't know, I might when I constantly. Or if you just want some water.
I don't know. Check. I will say. I need. No,
Cool,
I'm someone who
good.
says.
Good. Yeah, thanks. Cool. Awesome. Right. Then I'm too
Enjoy
tired to
your
get
food.
up, so I'll go in a second.
You
Right.
need a hand. I don't know. If it's a case of being tired,
Yeah, I'm good.
we'll just
I'm
drag
good.
you there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Before you guys start talking about physics, I'm gonna go. Honestly.
But yeah, that's
I thought that was quite a good discussion,
yeah.
and I thought it was very similar to the XKCD what ifs. In
Yeah.
fact, it pretty much was.
Yeah.
It was just a what if.
Yeah, it was a lot of
And I'm really tempted now to
to actually try.
look into the physics of this.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
we can do
Do
that.
you wanna, yeah, and then we'll just send each other.
Oh, it's been a while since I've done a problem.
You do the maths, I'll do the writing.
Oh god.
No, I'm kidding.
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 Oh god.
No, I'm kidding.